Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Do you know what I find very interesting to me? The fact that a few people think they need to have quote-unquote straight pride to counter the LGBT pride. Being a proud and open gay disabled man, I believe that the people who are behind straight pride are utterly clueless to what pride truly is all about and why we need it for our community as well as other marginalized groups. Let us start with a lesson in biology. First off, despite the lies that these religious bigots might tell you, being LGBT is absolutely natural. We see it in the animal kingdom all the time, whether it is clownfish transitioning from one sex, male, into the opposite sex, female, or two male penguins or lions sleeping and being together and trying to make off with another couple's chick when they are not looking. We also see it in the Bible, although the Christian fundamentalists try to ignore it due to their narrow-minded interpretation. But believe me, if you do your research, you can uncover what is truly hidden. True, having gay sex will not result in procreation, but, as I and many advocates will tell you, intimacy is more about having babies. However, being intimate with another person, regardless of gender, is about establishing trust between two people and makes you have compassion and empathy, which are the building blocks of any healthy, long-lasting, and fulfilling relationship. It is about fully giving yourself over to another person out of love physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and completely trusting them that they won't intentionally harm you. It is about having a part of them inside you and the intense feelings that you get, both the physical response and the psychological response that goes along with it. Why do you think they encouraged ancient Roman male soldiers to sleep with each other the night before a battle? Fetishes, whether it is another body part, a certain clothing accessory, or another inanimate objects, are all natural and can even enhance one's sexual experience. We often see people as fetishes on full display at pride events. It is about having your private parts inside your partner regardless of whether you reproduce or not. Why do you think we all give off a natural scent that lingers for several days after someone else sleeps in our beds? Why does one person wear their partner's hoodie or cuddle with a slasher jacket when they are not there? It is a security blanket. Switching gears, let us now talk about the history and the culture of pride to give you context as to why the idea of having straight pride is a terrible idea. For decades, being gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgendered was thought by the psychiatric community as being a mental illness that needed to be treated. Many people within the LGBT community were locked away in mental institutions and given medicine or tortured by means of persuasion or, in extreme cases, electric shock into being straight. Indeed, the Catholic Church, while acknowledging that may have same-sex attractions are real, still forbid its members on acting on said attractions, saying their souls will face eternal damnation if they do, which of course is a falsehood thanks to Jesus' sacrifice. They have even fired teachers for the simple act of getting married, which causes courageous students to walk out of class in support of their teachers, understanding they risk expulsion. Many have died or committed suicide because of these barbaric and illegal methods that were at that point legal. Look at the movie Boy Race, where after the family discovers their son has homosexual actions, takes him to a weekend retreat to try turning him straight upon the advice of their pastor. The mother eventually discovers that the leader of the retreat is a fraud who does not even have a doctorate in psychology and should never be able to take young influential boys and twist their minds and make them feel a certain way about themselves and lower their self-esteem. Let us not forget about the Holocaust, where members of the LGBT community were rounded up like cattle and taken to death camps to be murdered because in the eyes of Adolf Hitler we were seen as subhuman and their right to simply exist was denied. This is hatred and bigotry at its finest. At the height of Prohibition in the United States, another embarrassing act in our nation's history brought by these radical Christian fundamentalists, gay bars and speakeasies were a safe place to gather for our community. There, people can be themselves. One such place was the now famous Stonewall Inn in New York City. On June 28, 1969, New York police raided the bar and arrested people, mostly drag queens, charging them with being seen in public in ladies' clothing. Understand, this was no ticket and release like most modern-day arrests of activists. Those who were arrested were shoved in paddy wagons and taken to jail. Iron Bar's orange jumpsuits jail, and did not get out until they saw a judge. And the cops roughed them up. These events were the spark of the riots both in New York and major cities all around the nation. For the next several nights, rioters took to the streets in anger, vandalizing cars, defacing both public and private property, and causing damage to the tune of millions of dollars. This event is the start of the modern, quote, pride movement, unquote. For the next several years, pride evolved from a protest to a celebration and liberation for our community. It is about saying, we're here. We're queer. Get used to it. It is about, as Johnny Crescendio puts it, celebrating our differences with pride. When the 21st Amendment was passed in 1933, putting an end to prohibition and making it legal for anyone over the age of 21 to consume alcohol, pride has shifted from back rooms to main streets of American cities. It only increases in the 20th century, when the United States Supreme Court extended the right of privacy to the bedroom. Then it only exploded when in 2014 the 6 liberal justices declared that gays and lesbians have the constitutional right to marry just like anyone else. Still, they are some with megaphones who like to stand on street corners, who like to shout that we are, quote, disrespecting God, and we need to repent, not realizing that a lot of us are at least spiritual or religious. Nowadays, pride parades and festivals are sanctioned events by the government who try to keep the peace, while our community still has fun. Heterosexuality was never classified by anybody as a mental illness. Opposite-sex marriages for white land-owning male citizens, which existed in the 13 original colonies, were grandfathered into our Constitution from the very first day it was ratified and was acknowledged by all. Then was extended to other people as time progressed. It only took the ratification and the full implementation of the 14th Amendment to give the African American community the right and the respect to marry. Then only recently same-sex marriages became the law, and they are trying to steal back that right, forgetting that when you restrict one person's rights, you are restricting all rights, even your own. Remember, for the vast majority of our nation's history, African Americans were seen as nothing but property to be bought and sold at will with no respect to family. The American Psychological Society declassified homosexuality as a disorder. I do not know of any gay couple that will disown their son or daughter for being straight. In fact, many gay couples here in the United States has adopted children both with and without disabilities from orphanages and other institutions around the world, giving them opportunities that they would not have afforded to them in their native homeland. Therefore, for the reasons I have just outlined, this so-called strike pride should never be a thing. It should be thought of as a joke, easily tossed aside like so many lives that the straight community has ruined. For straight pride, much like what the Ku Klux Klan and other white supremacy groups stands for, is a celebration of all things white, able-bodied, bigots who just want a day to puff out their chests, walk tall, and say, quote, "Look at me, I am better. I have a day celebrating me too." Their sorry excuse for the flag is pink and blue, respecting their minority. They should be lucky they are able to live without fear. They should be lucky that if they choose to go out, they can hold their partner's hand, and no one will look at them weirdly as they walk down the street. They should be lucky that being straight is the norm, rather than the exception to the rule. They should be lucky they are not threatened with termination from their place of employment, or being threatened with eviction from their home simply because of who they are or who they love. They should be lucky that they can enroll their children in a private school without being told by the administration, "Sorry, your child cannot attend here because we disagree with your lifestyle." They should be lucky they are able to sit in their churches or go to their pastor requesting to be bonded together in holy matrimony and he or she say, "All right." People do not understand and will never understand discrimination unless they have experienced it firsthand. Until they are on the other side, where they are the ones being told no, where they are being asked to leave or barred due to physical and attitudinal barriers, they will not understand. They want to close down the streets for a festival because someone wants to feel quote unquote special is ridiculous. They can say that they understand all they want, but until they walk a mile in our shoes, they will never understand. And no, I did not wake up one random day when I was 15 and decided that another disabled boy of the same age looked hot. I wondered if he might take me to bed with him or leaving with him, and fantasized about what that experience might have been like. It was truly a shock to me. Like I told you before, it was so shocking that I did not tell my parents or even act on my feelings of intimacy. To use the phrase quote unjust discrimination unquote is truly an oxymoron, because the very definition of discrimination is unjust treatment according to Merriam-Webster. It suggests that at least at times, it's okay if you choose to discriminate, which it is not, and should always be called out and dealt with appropriately. I would argue that a child with two mothers or two fathers is loved more than a child of straight parents, because gay and lesbian couples actually have to plan to have a child, not just have a night of fun in the bedroom. have to deal with child welfare agencies and social workers who might put a web of bureaucratic red tape up that couples might have to navigate in order to have a family. Like I told you before, these so-called pro-lifers will not support family or community. In fact, a child with same-sex parents is more likely to be loved and cared for than one of straight parents simply because of the work that they have to go through. It is this reason that we must reject the very notion that same-sex couples can have children or don't have the love and compassion. It is this reason that we need to reject the quote traditional family. This idea of straight pride should never be thought of because one, they are not a marginalized group. They have rights and privileges that they can enjoy freely without any repercussions. If you think about it, you will agree that straight pride is a terrible idea that should be laughed at and gotten rid of. Please like this video, and while you are down there, hit that subscribe button to help grow this channel. I will see you soon.